everybody. It's Nick Taylor with the Crafty Gents, and today we're at Rorschach Brewing Company in Leslieville, Toronto, Ontario, and we're going inside to talk to Matt Ryner. He's the head brewer and co-founder of Rorschach. He's got tons of cool stuff to tell us about. They have so many unique beers coming out, so many diverse offerings. They're always cooking up new stuff. He's going to tell us all about that. Let's go inside and check it out. So, what's up, man? Thank you for having us.
Thanks for coming.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
I'm really happy to be here, actually. This place is super unique for a bunch of different reasons, but you have some beer to introduce, right?
Absolutely. This is our paradigm shift. It's our, anniversary beer. We brewed it for our first anniversary. We brought it back for our second anniversary. So it's a triple dry hop double IPA with lactose sugar, so milk sugar.
It's a lot to say.
Yeah, it is. And it's hopped with Citra, Mosaic, Eldorado, and Galaxy hops. So super tropical. Lots of tropical fruit, stone fruit, papaya, mango kind of thing. There's a good amount of body to this beer and very minimal bitterness, and it's 8.5%. So
you can see it. It's like opaque just looking at it.
Yeah,
you can't get through that. Absolutely not.
Yeah,
sweet.
Yeah. We use a bunch of lactose sugar in this, and that balances out any of the bitterness and the booziness. So,
right.
Yeah.
So it is fairly low bitterness when you look at it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is there an IBU that's attached to this that you guys would you put on there or no?
Yeah, I mean, we would say it would taste like a 30 to 40 IBU beer.
Right, yeah.
The actual IBU in the beer, in theory, is approximately 45 or so.
Right. It's perceived much lower though because of all that balance, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So there's a lot of sweetness to cut that.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Should we try it out?
Absolutely.
Cheers to 2 years, man.
Cheers. Thank you.
There's big hop flavor to that.
Mm-hmm.
It's perfect. I love the aroma too that comes off of it. The dry hop.
Yeah.
It's awesome. It's great.
Yeah, we add the vast majority of hops to this in dry hop. And it's over 60 pounds of hops and dry hop in the 10 hect batch. So and then the kettle hops, of course. So we're coming close to I think 7 or 8 pounds per hect.
Wow.
Something like that. So
that's a lot. It is like a smoothie like texture too, right?
Yeah.
I know you guys said that on the thing, but it is just like that.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because you would think that so many like competing or like big elements in the beer would kind of be competing in a certain way. Like there is in theory a reasonable amount of bitterness, but a lot of hoppiness, and then there's a good amount of sweetness and a good amount of alcohol, and then kind of like the balance of all of those you'd think would kind of pull the beer in a bunch of different directions, but it actually pulls it all together, I think.
Yeah.
So when we were first brewing, we were first kind of learning to brew, and we just at first wanted to make cheap beer, but we were just like, oh shit, you can make like really cheap beer if you do it by yourself.
Right.
And like you can pay like, $15-20 for ingredients, and you can make 2.4s worth of beer. Yeah. And we're cheap college students who just want to make some beer so we can drink it on the weekends and after school. And then we started looking into it more and started trying more craft beer. And we're like, okay, for maybe another $5 or $10, you can make some really good beer. And so we followed a couple recipes to start. We did a double IPA that was kind of after the Russian River Pliny the Elder. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that one, the California brewery.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And that turned out really, really good. And I was like, damn, all right, we're going to open up a brewery. And then the next 10 batches were garbage. And we're like, all right,
maybe not.
This is just fun now.
So was there you just said that, but was there a moment that you remember in particular where you were like, I can make a living doing this, or I could actually see myself doing this for a long, long time? There
was. I mean, just to start, I think most home brewers to start, when they first start brewing, they're like, wouldn't it be wonderful if, you could just do this for a living?
Yeah.
And that was, of course, what we were thinking at the very beginning, but it wasn't realistic at all. We were in university, no access to any kind of capital to open up a brewery. And also just no understanding of how to run a business or anything like that.
Right.
So, that was kind of like the first thought, and we're like, okay, yeah, it would be cool. Maybe one of these days,
And then you have a few of these.
Exactly.
This would be so cool.
Yeah. We're going to open up a brewery and it's going to be badass. And, we're going to make beer and make a ton of money. And, and then, we kind of we graduated, we got jobs, we did Mohan, who's one of my partners here, he went into med school.
Right.
Chris, who's my other partner here, he went to go work for his father's consulting company. And I went to do engineering sales for a while. And and I was always brewing at home pretty much every weekend. I'd be brewing on like the Saturday and packaging the previous, batch of beer on the Sunday.
Right.
And then like traveling for a week's worth of work out in like BC or, in the States somewhere.
Stopping in craft breweries.
Exactly. And that's what it was. That's what really kind of like helped me understand, that, you can understand the brewing process as much as you want, but if you don't have that other side of like understanding how these ingredients go together, or at least some kind of element of spark that, sparks some creativity, and understanding of what beer can be, then, I think you're just one dimensional in one way or the other.
Right.
And that was kind of what I would go. I would try beers from around, North America, and then come back and take elements that I liked from those and put that in my, in my beers.
Right.
And then it was around 2015, I believe. At that point I'd been brewing, I guess, for about 6 or 7 years.
Yeah.
And I think I had some really nice, good recipes down. I was like, all right, like this is coming out good. It's coming out consistently good. There's not a ton of breweries around right now. Like maybe this is actually a possibility.
Yeah.
I sat down with Kristen Mohan, and they were always into beer too. And we were actually, I think it was the end of 2015, or January 2016. We were sitting at the old Ancient Inn pub, which is now Brickwork Cider. Yeah. Just at Broadview and Queen. Yeah. And we're like, all right, is this something you guys would be interested in? And they're like, yeah, let's explore this. So we put together a business plan in a couple months, and we started looking for a spot, and we just decided that it was something we wanted to do. We eventually found this amazing spot, and
this place is incredible too.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
So we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about Rorschach and what everyone talks about with Rorschach. You guys kind of embrace it, but the name itself, right? How have I done, by the way, pronouncing it? Have I done okay?
You've been great, Rorschach.
I'll be honest, my friend John from Chronicle, he told me exactly how to pronounce it. Nice. I was like, I don't know what I'm saying. He's like, Rorschach. And we had like a little lesson. Chad was there too. It was perfect. So I've been saying it like in my head a bunch of times. I try to say it as many times as I could throughout this, to see if I was saying it wrong and if you would correct me. But you guys embrace that, right? Yeah.
I think, well, I mean, we came up with Rorschach, obviously, with the psychological ink blot test, and the idea that with the test itself, there's defined lines. The thing, it's an entity in and of itself. People perceive different things. They see different things in that, and we don't take the next conclusion that Herman Rorschach did, that or maybe not him specifically, but people that use that test, that if you see butterflies, you're a happy-go-lucky person, and if you see demons, you're fucking crazy, and you have to be committed. We don't take that next logical conclusion or illogical conclusion. It's just that same thing with that. With beer, there's a certain concentration of flavor and aroma compounds in a beer. And you can send that off to a lab, and you can get it. You can get it quantified. You can get something printed out based on concentrations, milligrams per liter of this compound, whatever. And that's what this beer is on paper. Right. But I'll taste it. You'll taste it. We'll taste different things. I may like it. You may not. Vice versa. So that was kind of the idea in terms of using that Rorschach element of it. But in terms of we were kind of on the fence about how people could pronounce that name and the underanding and that connection. It's like
Worcestershire sauce.
Exactly.
You just say it confidently, people are like, I know what he's talking about.
Yeah, exactly. But we do get a lot like the Watchman Rorschach. We do get that a lot, and especially when we first announced the name and we were opening and all that, people were like, "What is that? Is that a Watchman reference?" And we're like, "Well, I love that graphic novel, but it wasn't anything related to that." Right. But when we were thinking about how people can pronounce the name and all that, it was back to I was down in California, and I did the tour of Lagunitas years ago. Yeah. Even before they got bought out by Heineken. Right. And they were talking about the story of, I think the founder's name is John. I forget his last name, but he
John Lagunita.
It's not. Exactly. No, it's not because the reason, and it was a long story, but the reason why he ended up taking is, or someone asked why he used that name and why he would pick a name that no one could pronounce. He said, well, once you can pronounce it, you'll never forget it.
Right.
And that was kind of the tipping point that we're like, okay, you know, people may not get Rorschach right away. They may not be able to say it right away, but once they are able to say it, they know the place and they've been here, then they're not going to, if someone says Rorschach, the association is always going to be with our brewery. It's not going to be, you know, like Big River Brewing Company or something like that. That like,
that's a good call.
That, you know,
just get lost in the shuffle.
Yeah,
it's funny because like I do think that being Rorschach and having and embracing it too, where people say all these different versions of them or whatever, like Rorschach I've heard and stuff like that.
I've heard a million.
But it makes it like memorable and unique in that way.
Exactly.
Because people are, you know, like this one. But it's cooler that it has like a deeper meaning behind it too, right? And how each person like perceives or experiences craft brew and food, right?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I think everything that we're trying to do here is kind of try to elevate the experience of craft beer. And food is a big element of that, tying that together because people understand, you know, wine and food pairings, wine and cheese pairings. People, there are a lot of people that do now, but generally people don't see like beer and cheese or beer and food, beer dinners kind of being as versatile or being as kind of elevated as what a wine dinner would be. But realistically, I mean, pairings, we do beer and cheese pairings. And we get the weirdest, funkiest cheeses. We get this like glass
stank cheese.
And that works amazing with our mixed fermentation beers. Yeah. And then we get stuff like so we work with Bill from Art of Cheese just on Kingston, and he brought this raspberry fudge cheese that we paired with. It was one of our Malevolent Benevolence, I think.
Okay, yeah.
And like the pairing was like this cheese you would never be able to pair with a wine, in any way because there's so much dense texture to that even the most full-bodied reds could not stand up to this this fudge cheese. And we have this like really dense imperial stout that stands up perfectly to it, and then both elements of fruit in each, and you know it's just like a really cool pairing. So every once in a while we'll do beer dinners. It's not scheduled, but we'll announce that when we do that on our website and social media.
Thanks, man. Honestly, I could talk to you for hours about beer and stuff. And you guys have so much going on. Like, I want to talk to you about the mixed fermentation sour saison, but I don't want to take too much of your time. So, perfect. Thanks so much, man.
Thank you. It's great chatting.
Yeah, you too, man. Thank you very much. We have to come back and do this again.
Absolutely.
Cool. Sweet.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Cool.
All right.